Hello and welcome on Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories. A leading Chadian opposition leader is among dozens of people killed in Wednesday's gunfights in N'Djamena. Yaya Dillo was said to be the main rival to his cousin and president Mahamat Idriss Deby Itno at next elections. More reactions a day after Ghana's parliament passes an anti-gay bill, and concerns grow about the possible impact on the LGBTQ community. Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan is in Cairo to discuss the war in Sudan, which led more than 1.6 million people to flee their country. Some of them found refuge in Ethiopia. Chad's authorities confirmed Yaya Dillo, a Chadian opposition leader, has died during a shootout with security forces in the capital, N'Djamena. He had been accused just a day earlier of being behind an attack on the country's security agency. Dillo was the cousin of the current president and a contender in the upcoming election due to take place in May. Vidika Abal has more.
Chad's opposition leader Yaya Dillo has been killed in a shootout with security forces, according to the country's state prosecutor.
This attack resulted in dozens of injuries and deaths, including the death of Mr. Yaya Dillo, president of the PSF, yesterday, 28th of February 2024. 26 people have been arrested and investigations are underway to determine the cause of these unfortunate events.
The leader of the country's socialist PSF party, Dillo's death comes a day after intense clashes and violence in the capital that saw heavy fighting and military presence outside the PSF headquarters and government accusations blaming Dillo and his party for deadly attacks on the National Security Agency. Dillo had denied any role in the attacks and denounced an attempt to sideline him ahead of the presidential election, where his cousin's name, President Mahamat Deby, is likely to be on the ballot. Earlier this week, Chad's Electoral Commission set an official date for the vote that could return the Central African state to constitutional rule, 3 years after the military seized power, with the first round set for May 6th. Deby, named head of the transition in 2021, had vowed to return to civilian rule within 18 months, but ended up extending the transition period by another 2 years.
A day after Ghana's parliament passes the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, fears grow about the possible impact of the legislation on the LGBTQ community. Takiwa Manu is a senior fellow at the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, a think tank, and she questions intolerance being legislated.
Yes, there is a lot of public sentiment against LGBT persons in Ghana as in many other countries. The question is, do you legislate this public sentiment of intolerance and hate into law and therefore empower people to go out and act, their intolerance? That is the issue. Sex is a private matter. So you have this new bill which even specifies how you must have sex, what implements you can use and not use. But it is a terrible invasion on the rights of privacy of people. And we keep pretending that this community does not exist among us. They are here. They are members of the Ghanaian community.
And in Ghana, Justice Baidu has been gathering more reactions in Accra.
There seems to be huge support for this new legislation across the country, despite outright condemnation by some academics and human rights activists. Ghana is a place that is very, very religious, with up to 70% of the population being Christian. Through the 2 years that this bill has gone through the country's parliament, several religious groupings and leaders have pushed for its speedy passage.
And even God was against it. So if my country is against it, I'm very happy with that decision.
Several activists have spoken up against this new bill, including the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, who has said that this bill, if passed into law, could dent Ghana's reputation abroad and further hurt the country's economy at a time when Ghana is going through one of its worst economic downturns in decades.
Even its very proposal seemed to have opened the floodgates in this country of people attacking queer people, of people speaking out recklessly against queer people. We even had traditional authorities saying that they will banish queer people, and yet we live in a democracy.
This new bill would move to the president within the next 1 week. He would then have up to 7 days when he has to sign. If he decides not to sign, he has up to 14 days to write an official explanation to the country's parliament.
A boat carrying some 300 migrants capsized off the coast of the northern Senegalese city of St. Louis. Dozens are confirmed to have died, and President Macky Sall expressed his condolences to their families and loved ones. For more on this, Sam Bradpiece is in Dakar.
The number of migrants trying to reach Europe from Senegal by sea continues to rise, and sadly so too does the number who die along the way. This latest tragedy involved a boat with some 300 migrants on board which capsized off the coast of the northern Senegalese city of St. Louis. It's thought that the boat was headed towards the Canary Islands, and the exact death toll remains unknown. We're talking about dozens of people at a minimum, but search and rescue operations could reveal that the number is even higher. The reason for such a large wave of irregular migration at the moment from Senegal, well, they're multifaceted. You have to consider the lack of available jobs for a large and growing population, but also factors like climate change and overfishing as well. Then, of course, the lack of available, safe and regular migration routes mean that many feel they have no other choice other than to take to sea on kind of perilous wooden boats to undertake a journey which is among the most dangerous of all migration routes in the world.
Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry is in Kenya to finalize the deployment of 1,000 Kenyan police officers. In Haiti, gangs have grown more powerful and continue to fight over territory. Kenya had agreed to lead a UN-authorized international police force to Haiti, although the Kenyan High Court in January ruled the plan unconstitutional. Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan met with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo to strengthen their bilateral relations, but also to find ways of de-escalating the situation in Sudan. Burhan has been at war with his former deputy Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. More than 1.6 million Sudanese refugees have fled their country since the war broke out in April 2023, and around 31,000 of them have found refuge in Ethiopia. Clotilde Hazard sent us this report from Addis Ababa.
This family arrived in Addis Ababa 2 months ago. They're among 31,000 Sudanese refugees now in Ethiopia. Sakena is hoping to eventually join her husband in Saudi Arabia, but the visa procedure is slow.
Honestly, at first it was hard, especially for the children who wanted to see their father. We've slowly adapted. We do activities to enjoy the city and help us wind down. But we were forced to come here. We didn't want to leave our country. It's sad.
Sudanese people here are trying to live as much of a normal life as possible while they wait for their visas to be approved. Hassan is a comedian. He now sells sweets and has set up this community space.
They're all fleeing the war. They come with their problems, their stress, and talk about what's happening in Sudan. They come here to get away from it all. They make videos of me and have fun. Some write to me on my page to ask for advice, because they want to come to Addis.
In the evenings, Hassan often organizes events to raise funds for Sudanese people in Ethiopia who are struggling to make ends meet.
Our biggest problem is paying $100 every month to immigration. Renting a room is also too expensive for us. We pay between $600 and $700 each month for our flat.
Authorities have left the Sudanese to their own devices, but Ethiopian artists like Fikir Yetagesu have been performing Sudanese songs in support.
I'm not asking for the government, let them stay without visa or something, but I hope if the government can help like they give them like a refugee IDs.
Sudanese people are eligible for a 3-month entry visa on arrival in Ethiopia, free of charge. But they then need to figure out where to stay next.
Lenga in Cape Town is the oldest township in South Africa. It was established in 1927 under the apartheid government. One artist, Mongezi Goom, wants to capture the beauty and the reality of life in the Lenga township. He inspired the creation of a popular gallery to promote art and inspire artists within the local community. Let's have a look with Clémence Valère.
Using art to reclaim the story of South Africa's Lenga township. That's the goal of local painter Mongezi Goom with his latest collection, Ubomi Kwalanga. The seasoned artist is using his talents to reflect on the sense of belonging and the bonds forged within the community.
The way I see life and the way we live in the township, I discovered art because of the circumstances we face. I quickly came to realize this is my talent. There are many people that love it and have a gift for it.
The 53-year-old's contribution to his community is not only through his artwork. He also inspired the creation of the township's first gallery, 16 on Lerotholi, a sanctuary for young artists looking to commercialize their work.
A lot of the community members knew that he was an artist. But the interesting thing is that although they knew he was an artist, a lot of people had never engaged with his works from the community. We wanted to create a space that has kind of an open door policy where artists don't feel intimidated to approach the gallery.
The gallery was founded in 2019 by 2 young entrepreneurs from Lenga who aim to make art accessible in the township. The curators focus on making the gallery into a space which will garner interest locally, nationally, and internationally.
I'm always excited to actually bring people here to actually, I would say, to show them that, our community is not just about how it is portrayed.
For Mongezi Goom, this gallery is a gateway for the next generation of local artists to help them fall in love with art and to promote that beauty and talent can come from anywhere.
Beauty to end this edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more news.